Welcome to the Biz Gone Social Podcast. We help entrepreneurs navigate how to get known, get customers, and get the edge over their competition. Here is your host, Lorraine Duncan.
So here we are on the Biz Gone Social Podcast. I'm so glad to be here. And my promise to you, as always, is I want to give you a little bit of verbal caffeine that will energize your business and social media marketing and help you stay social. After all, don't you want to be the business everyone's talking about? I know I do. And I'm really stoked to have a great colleague of mine on board here today, Cara Gilbride. Welcome, Cara.
Well, thank you, Lorraine. What a fantastic introduction.
I've known Cara for at least about 4 years now, maybe a little longer. And Cara, just tell the audience a little bit about your business and what you do.
I'm a photographer and owner of Callalily Studios. We do event, portrait, and commercial photography. My studio is in downtown Stamford, Connecticut on Prospect Street.
And very interesting is you have like a little story maybe with your name. Can you share that story?
I do. I can't believe you remembered that. I was creating my business many moons ago before it actually even became my full-time business. And I was talking to my best friend, trying to come up with a name. And she actually came up with the name Callalily for me. I thought it was great because at the time we were doing weddings together. And it was clearly a wedding flower. It was classic, it was clean, and it was simple, which are all things that I was really looking for in my branding. That's
awesome. And Cara, you didn't start out as a photographer. You kind of morphed into it. Why the switch? What made you decide that all of a sudden I'm going to be a photographer?
So photography was actually always in the background. I did my high school yearbook at 14 years old as a photographer, and I kept that through college, doing it part-time and beyond. I was originally shooting film, always had a camera in my hand, whether or not I was shooting for someone or not. And during the transfer to digital, I was using a little elf for a few years and not really doing anything professional. And then one year, my boyfriend actually bought me a camera, the Canon 40D for Christmas, my first digital camera. I think that was 2007. And in 2008, I bought myself a laptop and I was ready to kind of open shop again. And so I started freelancing again, kind of sort of accidentally. I started doing volunteer photography for a nonprofit. And somebody asked me if I'd like to work for her, and kind of the ball started rolling again.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm just curious, is like, not only are you a photographer, but you're actually a business owner too. What do you like the best about being in business for yourself?
The flexibility of everything. I love waking up when I want. I love scheduling my day as I want. As you know, personally, I work odd hours. I don't work at a 9-to-5 schedule whatsoever. I fought that for many years, being an employee, having to get somewhere at a certain time, fighting traffic, and the flexibility of scheduling my sessions and being able to do my computer work on my own schedule was probably one of the biggest benefits. Also, goal-wise, I had a career of making money and doing business and understanding, profit and loss prior to. So once I went into business, I was able to bring that knowledge with me. So I wasn't exactly blind. In other words, I was able to really make my business a real business and not just a hobby turned business.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. And interestingly enough, a lot of people that are probably on this call today could be thinking of starting up their own business. And we always talk about the happy things about being in business for ourselves. What would you say is the biggest challenge that you have as owning your own business? What would you say that would be?
That's a good question. Probably knowing what to outsource and increasing my bottom line without making myself insane and without allowing myself to have time to clean the house and make dinner and have fun and vacation and do stuff. Obviously, during COVID, it's been a little insane. And so your priorities shifted to mere survival at one point when I was told we had to shut down because I am a very in-person business. I don't have other revenue streams that are strictly online. So my cause and effect is do a shoot, get paid. So that changed, and that became probably my biggest challenge. But it's opened my eyes to considering other revenue streams in my goal planning and trying to figure out what the future will look like. And not only future, but increased income, potentially, hopefully.
Yeah, and it's always important to know exactly what you can delegate and what you can't delegate, and be very clear about that, along with all the, it's a journey. I always call life a journey, but being in business is a wild adventure sometimes. And
yeah.
But the bottom line is we stepped out. Both of us own our own businesses, and we stepped out and we're doing something that we love doing.
And I've never worked harder.
Yeah, and it feels good though at the end of the day, because you could work for somebody, but you're not really increasing your bottom line, but you're increasing their bottom line. So in the sense that, yes, you're working harder, but you're working harder for your company, which is probably the best thing that you could possibly do for yourself if you don't want to work for someone.
Well, and you just said something too about, increasing their bottom line. I always think about that when I go to potentially hire somebody, is that I make sure, and you knew that with Annie, who I had for, a little while as a freelancer for me, I wanted to give as much as I got from her. And her experience with me got her a full-time job and got her through a tough interview because I helped prep her as, just an extra. And the things that she did with me were able to move her forward. So even when I was in finance, I valued my employees and I valued their growth as much as I valued my own company's growth. Because I think that common thread of I'm getting no value at work, I'm just making them money, is something that I never want to be correlated with me, whether it's for another company or whether it's for Callalily Studios. So just an aside, kind of based on what you said.
Actually, that's really, my husband and I actually were just talking about this yesterday, is that because I had recently hired someone, and the bottom line is that it's my job as an employer to help the person that I employed in any way that I can to help them succeed and be more successful. And because if you think about it, if you're helping someone be more successful, then they're going on and they're just they're paying it forward, really, because they're helping and they're doing the best they can, and they know what they're doing. And so Annie was awesome. I got to steal Annie a little bit too. So I benefited.
Hey, you know her, right? Right.
If
you provide value, you get value. That's what I think.
It's so true. It's coming from a place of service. If you come from a place of serving and going the extra distance, it just comes back to you. And I don't even know how that formula works, but it does. Somehow it comes back to you. Interestingly enough, too, is like, if there was one piece of advice you could give someone going into business for themselves that you wish you would have done when you first started out, what would it be?
Start sooner. The minute you want to start something, start it. I think, and actually there's a nonprofit, Girls with Impact, it's called. And they train 12 to 18-year-old girls on how to start businesses. I am such a full supporter of knowing how to open a business, female or male, from a young age, because that's so empowering. So for me, I do appreciate the time I had in finance to develop myself mentally and be stronger as a business owner. But if you want to be a photographer or a social media marketer, now the amount of information that's online for you to do it is far greater than when we were turning out. Nobody trained me how to run a business in photography because it didn't exist. We didn't have the YouTube videos. We didn't have, all these training sessions like we both have now at our fingertips. So I think putting the work in and just starting any old business and just learning how to open a business is probably my biggest piece of advice. Mow lawns, but know how to open an LLC and do it the right way.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. I think that a lot of times people will talk about starting something or doing something and then they never do it. And nothing that I would hate more than to going to maybe that last breath and knowing that there was some stuff that I didn't get to do. And the last 2 years have been, tomorrow actually is not promised. So I totally agree that really, if you're thinking of starting a business, just do it. It's kind of like the Nike slogan, just do it.
Well, and we're more risk takers. So it might be easy for us to jump and then figure out as we're falling how to do it. But there are ways to prepare and keep your old job and do it on the side and just keep, as Julia Kelleher, a photographer, says, keep building that snowball as you push it up the hill, because the snowball is going to get bigger. And at some point, it's going to get to the top of the hill and it's going to roll over the other side and you're going to be great. But as you're pushing it and as it's getting bigger, it's getting heavier as you're getting to the top, but you're getting to the top and it's about to tip over. So that is a great analogy that I adore because, we deal with this every day, both of us.
Yeah, I love that. Definitely. I'm going to put that in one of my favorites. Well, Cara, I just want to thank you so much for being a guest on my show. And, Cara does so much. She adds so much value to doing a photography session with her. She does anything from head portraits to pet portraits to corporate shots to events. And she has a great portfolio. And so if somebody needed to get in touch with you and wanted to get something done, how would they get in touch with you?
Go to my website. It has a contact form there as well as my cell phone directly on the website. And that's www.callalily.studios.com, CALLALLY studios, plural.com. Thank you, Lorraine. I appreciate this impromptu fun.
Awesome. And thank you for being my guest. And everybody out there, until next week, I'll see you soon.